And we have Jacoby Shaddix from Papa Roach joining us today, joining Skratch N Sniff to talk about the new single, Even If It Kills Me. This song's out now. It feels like sort of an anthem, and there are two versions that are both getting tons of love. One is this powerful, heavy-hitting track, and the other is the acoustic, sort of introspective one. It feels like you're kind of showcasing both sides of the personality of Papa Roach, the Jekyll and Hyde sort of thing.
Absolutely, man. Yeah, we're really happy with what we've done with this single. And to split it down the middle and have two versions of it is that's been a fun experiment for us. A lot of the times we'll go in and try to take a song and rework it or reimagine it in a way, and sometimes it just falls short. But with this one, I just felt like, damn, which version of the song do I like better? They're both really special to me, and so yeah, we're definitely flexing that Jekyll and Hyde on this one.
Is it fun creatively for you to sort of pick things apart and like dissect it and try it from a different approach or angle?
Oh yeah, for sure. It's like, I like those challenges as a writer and as a creator to try to just get in the studio and challenge ourselves in a way that's like, let's try something fresh, different, and new. And I think that that's one of the things that's really been the lifeblood of Papa Roach through our career, is being bold enough to just try something new, especially, with our last single, Leave a Light On, where it's just fully stripped down and acoustic. We realize that our fans love that side of our band and what we do. And so why not go farther down that rabbit hole,
You mentioned Leave a Light On, which I thought one of the coolest things about that particular track was that it just opened up a dialogue about the importance of mental health, which I thought was really cool.
Absolutely. That's been a thread of our story as a band since the beginning of our career, from our first single, Last Resort. That song was essentially a cry for help. And it's opened up that dialogue throughout our career, right? Where it's like, I'm just throwing myself in there and expressing my vulnerabilities, my struggles, my weaknesses, and finding sense through that in the music, in writing and creating. And in doing that, it's really tethered me closely in a strong bond with our fan base. And for me, I'm just, this is purpose-driven music. And it's all about taking pain and turning it into purpose, and not just sitting in the pain. It's processing it and healing.
I've heard there was like a quote, I can't remember who said it, but it was like, the best art is created from intense pain.
It always is. It really seems like that, and then every once in a while you get a good summer jam that just makes you feel good,
So with Leave a Light On, what was it like working with Carrie Underwood?
Oh, that was incredible. That was such a cool moment in the studio, and just a really cool way that it happened. It happened totally organically and naturally. We found out she was a fan through an interview she did on Sirius XM Octane, talking about her love for rock and metal music, and she cited our band as a band that she likes. And my friend hit me up with that. He's like, "Dude, you see this?" I was like, "Oh snap!" So then me and my wife, we went out and saw her show in Vegas and hung out with her after the show, and just became fast friends. And I was like, "All right, let's just see if she's down." So I asked her, "Hey, we got this song, Leave a Light On. Here's the message. It's about extending a helping hand. It's about service to others. It's about being there for somebody in their moment of weakness and darkness." And she hit back right quick. She's like, "I'm all about it," and so we both donated all the proceeds from that version of the song to the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention. And it's just been a really cool experience. And being in the studio with her was incredible. What an amazing vocalist, like one of the most talented vocalists I've ever worked with to date, like just top notch.
I thought it was such a cool moment when she joined you guys on stage in Las Vegas. Was it her idea to do Last Resort, or how did that come about?
So we knew that, we saw her schedule. We saw she was doing her residency. It was wrapping up like the final leg of her residency out there. And so we hit her up. We're like, "Yo, we're going to be in town the same night. Any way we could make this work?" And she was all about it. So I hit her up. I was like, "Listen, if you're going to come up and do Leave a Light On, what do you think about running it back and doing Last Resort with us?" And she's like, "Oh my God, that'd be so cool. I'm down." And she came to rehearsal, nailed it. And so we did Leave a Light On, and then pulled her back out for Last Resort, and it popped off. It was a really cool moment.
That's awesome. We recently talked to Hardy, and he's one guy who's like, you know, combining a bunch of different genres and sort of breaking down barriers in country and rock and metal. And I think with country, there's country as a whole sort of is coloring outside the genre lines with guys like Hardy and Jelly Roll, Post Malone right now. Could you ever see yourself doing like experimenting with new genres and doing like maybe a country rock tune or something like that?
Oh yeah, you never know it. I mean, Leave a Light On kind of lends itself to that space already, and that's kind of what, you know, when we were thinking about collaborators, we're like, who in the country space would be great on this song, and her name was on the top of the list. And yeah, man, we're no strangers to genre bending. You know, we've collaborated with the Black Eyed Peas, we collaborated with Pharrell Williams and NERD, and you know, so we've been able to kind of do that early on in our career, and it's cool to see, you know, country artists are beginning to blur those lines as well. And I think that for me, that's just something new and exciting and fun that's happening in music that is to be celebrated. And I want to see more of it, and I want to be part of more of it.
You guys have a break from touring right now, and you mentioned in other interviews that you guys are a new Papa Roach album's on the way. How far, guys, are you along in the process, and what can you tell us about the new record?
We got about 5-6 songs finished up. I'm headed to Nashville later today, going to a NASCAR event, and then headed to LA to go back in the studio and wrap up some more new tracks. And so, well into this to this new album, we don't have a release date yet. We just want to get this one perfect before we drop it. But fans can expect new music throughout the year. I'm gonna actually, after I go in the studio, I'll jump back down to LA, and we're shooting a music video for a brand new single we're going to drop in the middle of June, and so that's coming up right around the corner. And that one's a fucking banger, dude. I'm so excited about this next song.
Is there possible there would be some guests on the record, or can you give us anything?
Actually, yeah, I've got a couple guests already on this record, but I ain't going to tell you who it is because we just want to surprise you as the tracks drop.
When you dropped Ego Trip, you guys released or started your own label. Are there things about that process, releasing that first record through your own label that you learned along the way that you can apply to this release?
Oh, absolutely, man. I've been a student since I've been in the business. And back in, 99, when we first got a record deal, I've been taking notes. Everybody in the band's been taking notes. And it's been a really a good experience for us. And I was quite fearful of stepping into the role of being a record company executive. But now that we're, 2 years into it, and we really have learned the insides of the record business, it's just, let's go. It's exciting, so we're going to continue that. And we've had, some great successes on this last album, Ego Trip. We had 4 number ones on rock radio. And for us, that was huge. And then, broke into the top 5 and top 10 with Leave a Light On, at Alternative. And Even If It Kills Me, the reimagined version just hit through the top 10, and so we got this momentum happening, and it just feels so good. And then we just came off this tour, Rise of the Roach, in America and Europe, some of the most successful touring of our career. And so we just feel this like excitement bubbling up around what we're doing. And I'm just like, dude, this deep into our career, we're having all these successes. And yeah, it's dope. I mean, I just got a plaque from Spotify for 1 billion streams, so like these, it's a really good time to be in Papa Roach and to be doing what we're doing with New Noise.
That's incredible. Do you ever see a day where you might be like signing new acts to the label, or is it just going to be? Yeah,
absolutely. We're looking for artists, and that will definitely be something that will be on the horizon for New Noise. We just want to find the right artist, and that time will come when it comes. And there's a lot of young, awesome talent out there, and it's cool to see how rock is evolving and changing, and how, in a way, we've been influential on that. And we're seeing bands like Deftones, Korn, Limp Bizkit, Papa Roach have some of the biggest moments in our careers 20 plus years later. And so it's a good time for heavy music.
I think you guys have always been on the sort of like the cutting edge of working with developing artists or younger artists and giving them a platform,
Yeah.
Jarvis Johnson, guys like that,
Yeah.
you're using your platform to leverage them and sort of get them over as well.
Oh yeah, most definitely, man. Jarvis Johnson is he just dropped a new song called Power. It fucking rips. Our friend Ronnie Radke from Falling in Reverse did a reimagination of our song Last Resort. And so to see like this younger generation celebrating what we've done, and it's an honor. And there's another new artist that I really, really like. His name's Low Spirit. And he's actually he's an artist, but he's also a producer. And so he's actually produced a couple of our new songs as well. And so, we're bubbling with these younger folks, and it's cool to be working with younger producers because they're not jaded. Some of these older guys have been there, done that. And it just kind of seems like the fire is dwindling. And so for us, the last like 8 years, we've been working with all these younger producers, which has been so fun.
Recently, there's been it feels like there's sort of like a rock resurgence happening right now. You have Sleep Token, they just topped the Billboard charts. Ghost did it, and that was like the first time in a couple years. What's your take on the current state of rock?
I think it's great, man. I think we weathered the dark ages. It was rugged for a while, and pop culture and rock culture are starting to meld in ways, and we're seeing multi-generations come out to our shows, and that's because the parents that were listening to us back in 2000, now they got kids that are 20 years old that have been listening to Papa Roach their whole life, and it's cool to see bands like Sleep Token just topping the charts. That's such a great look for rock music, I look forward to the next 5-10 years of what rock is going to be doing on the main stage.
We're about a month away from the big final concert from Aussie and Black Sabbath. I know you crossed paths with Aussie in the past. How has his career influenced you?
Ozzy's one of those guys that I just regard as one of the greats, and he's been to hell and back and proved that you can pull your life back together and have success. And he's had so many highs in his career and so influential. Great writer, great singer, great performer, and one of those guys that I've admired and respected my whole life.
Any Aussie moments that stick out for you?
Yeah, man, we were doing Ozfest back in the day, and we were playing. I was at Kansas somewhere, and it was just pouring down rain, like just insane, sideways, right? And so the band, we're just getting pelted and we're drenched as we're performing. And I look to my left, and there's Ozzy standing over by the monitor engineer, and he's just completely drenched, wet. And he's just over there smiling, watching our set, just like, these guys are rock. It was such a cool moment, to be honored by his presence as we were ripping the show.
Something about that era, like the 99, 2000, 2001 Ozfest, and like you look at the bands that were involved in the festival at that time. You had like System of a Down, Limp Bizkit, you had everybody that broke through, Slipknot, Snot was up there. Like you had I don't know if there'll ever be another time like that in music again.
Yeah, I mean, it was definitely like a hot moment. But I think that we're starting to see the inklings and the beginnings of that again in rock music. And that's, for me, like I said earlier in the interview, very exciting. And, we'll see. There's a lot of great festivals in America that are popping off that have taken the page out of European festivals playbook. And so we got Sonic Temple, Welcome to Rockville, Incarceration, amongst many more. That are 4-day festivals that bring out 90,000, 100,000 people, 60,000 people. And so those moments are happening. It's just media is starting to, oh, snap, what's happening in rock again? This seems hot, so we built a culture that's exciting for the youth to come out and be involved in.
And you have Warped Tour coming back this year as well, which I think is like something's been missing with Warped Tour being gone that long.
I'll tell you, that's where we got our break. That was our first big tour, man. As Last Resort was exploding on the radio and TRL and MTV, we were out on Warped Tour. We started on the 3rd stage, worked our way to the 2nd stage. 3 weeks into the tour, we're on the main stage. By the end of the tour, we're headlining this thing right next to Green Day and Weezer. And that was just what an iconic moment for us to share and be on that punk rock summer camp. And so it's really cool to see that festival coming back around.
The Last Resort turns 25. Is there a moment that sort of you can look back at now as sort of like the turning point when things started to really, take off and the trajectory of the band just accelerated?
I honestly, I feel like Warped Tour was that moment for us. That was like that, we're the band that was just in a van, and then all of a sudden we get to be in a tour bus, and then the next thing you know, we're on top killing it, and then we're on TRL, performing. Then, we're at MTV the year 2000 when the ball dropped, the year of the Y2K bug, when everything was supposed to fall apart. You remember that whole fear game that they were playing on us?
Yeah.
I'm in Times Square watching the ball drop, just going 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, Happy New Year. And all the lights kept working and everything kept working just like perfectly fine. What a cool moment though, man, to be in the center of it all. And everybody thought the world was coming to an end, and it was just another beginning.
A lot of those bands that came out in the early 2000s sort of hit it big and then faded away. On the other hand, like you said, Papa Roach is enjoying some of the biggest success of their career. What's been the key to your longevity?
Not throwing in the towel when it got a little rugged. You know what I mean? There was an era when all the record companies were like, guitars are dead. You need to turn your guitars down, more keyboards. And I just remember going, I mean, we're a rock band, man. Like, I don't, we could try that. And we tried it. And it actually pushed us into some new creative territory that kind of expanded our sound. But then again, man, there's something special about plugging that guitar in and just cranking it all the way up and just ripping. And our fans love that about us. And so we will never stop doing that. That's rock and roll at its core.
Was there ever a point in the journey where you believed Papa Roach was done, or you felt like you were going to throw in the towel?
I think every time I get done touring an album and I come home and I just finally take a break and settle down, I'm like, I don't know I think I'm good. And then I go back in the studio, we start writing new songs, and I'm like, I can't wait to play this for my family. I can't wait to play this for my manager. Oh, dude, I can't wait till the homies hear this. And so it's like, it's just this cycle of like, go till I'm exhausted and broken, and then recuperate, jump in the studio, make some new music, and just become overly inspired again.
Is it about that enthusiasm? Like if you lose that enthusiasm, I think that's what this sort of could derail you.
Absolutely. I think that, and in the key moments where I felt like throwing in the towel, I just kept suiting up and showing up, and that was like, I think important. I think behind every success, that's part of the story, is suiting up and showing up when you don't feel like it, and that, I think that can pertain to a lot of areas in life in general. And I think that that's important. That's an important part of our story, is we kept just trudging the road and trying to find that magic. And, sometimes we would land on it and sometimes we would miss the mark, but it was like, let's get back on and try it again. I think that's the beauty of having such a huge, successful first single of ours, Last Resort. It's given us this opportunity to like go back to the well and try again and try again, not to try to recreate the same experience, but just who are we now?
And finding like the detours and things like that, as long as you get from point A to point B, like figuring out, how to get there is part of the journey, right?
Absolutely, man. And it's not always pretty. That's all right, though.
I know you're going to be recording some stuff for Father's Day for the radio show. Since you're a dad, what's the best Father's Day gift that you've received?
Oh, man, just being able to have the love and respect and admiration from my sons that I have. The relationship that I've built with them is open. The communication is open. And I think that for me is an experience that I didn't have growing up. And that was one of my life's goals, was to create this open communication where my kids felt safe. And I think that that's the greatest reward, is to see the successes of my, I got an older son who's getting his doctorate in physical therapy. I got another son who's a college lacrosse player, and so they're thriving. And I got another little guy, he's 11 years old, and, he's just a little beam of light. And so, yeah, fatherhood is the best hood, I got to tell you. And they are the joy of my life.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Have any of them taken an interest in music, or?
Oh yeah. My second born Jagger, he's a rapper. He writes. He's been writing for the last 5 years. He's just been in the lab stacking songs and going to college. And so I'm excited for him and the path that he's going to take. And my youngest son, Brixton, he just loves singing. So we got him set up in the back garage with a PA, and he just gets out there and karaoke's and rocks. He's got a couple lights. He's got a little fog machine who put on a show for the family, so it's a good time here at the Shaddix family. Plus, my two younger ones are both drummers as well. My oldest played drums for a little while, but he just wasn't really interested in it. He's just a big music fan.
That's so cool. We talked to Sonny from POD. His son's in a band. He was out there. Yeah. He was actually roadieing on the POD Godsmack tour for him. So, and then you have like Robert Trujillo, all those guys, all their sons are active in music as well, which is cool to see it sort of come full circle.
Hell yeah, man. We'll see if they got what it takes, right?
So I guess to wrap things up then, you guys are you did the Rise of the Roach tour. How is it being on the road with Rise Against? Because I feel like that's a perfect fit musically for you guys. It's like, different genres, but at the same time it makes sense.
Yeah, we've been sharing the rock charts for years, you know what I mean? And back in the day when we got signed to DreamWorks, Ron Handler was our A&R. He also signed Rise Against to DreamWorks way back when. And so, like I said, we've been sharing the rock charts with each other for years, and finally we had the opportunity to team up on a tour. And what an honor it is to be sharing the stage with Rise Against and Under Oath. Both bands are great. And we did that first leg of the tour, and it was just such a great time. We got along so well with those guys and just became fast friends. We spent a lot of time in catering, having dinner together, just talking life and talking shop, and just good people, man. I got nothing but great things to say about those guys. And I really look forward to this second leg of Rise of the Roach popping off in America, and ticket sales are going great. And so it's going to be a freaking awesome tour. And yeah, man, what an honor. And it's cool, man, because we're taking Rise of the Roach to Canada. And right now we just celebrated our 6th week at #1 on rock radio in Canada, which is like one of our longest runs of our careers at #1. And we're taking Rise of the Roach up there. We're bringing The Used with us, as well as a band called Sleep Theory on that leg. And so that's going down November of this year. And so we're really stoked about that one too, man.
Sleep Theory is dope.
Yeah, they're ripped, right? They're good.
Yeah, they're great. So that's awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining us. I appreciate your time. And I urge everybody to go check out Even If It Kills Me, and stay tuned for new music from Papa Roach on the horizon.
Hey, dude, great rapping with you, man. Please tell me what's your name again?
James.
Thank you, James. It was great talking with you, man. Appreciate you.
Hey,
and
appreciate your time. And we'll keep you updated when the radio special is going to air. I believe it airs Father's Day weekend. So
okay, cool.
We'll keep everybody in the loop. And I appreciate you taking the time to rap out with me today.
Absolutely, man. I'm gonna knock out these liners here and get those fired off to you, and you should be good.
Awesome, man. Enjoy your trip to Nashville.
All right, James. You take care, brother.
Thank you. Bye.